So as you can see on my screen, Nishant, since you have just you're planning to start preparing, Oliveboard has amazing judiciary courses. You'll get everything that you need in those courses. They are covering they're covering all of Hindi speaking states and also Delhi Judiciary Services. So you can just check out their course and see if it helps you. I'm sure that it will. And if you choose to enroll yourself, then you can always use this code Sanya and you'll get flat 45% off. Why I say judiciary courses are helpful is something we'll discuss towards the end of today's session. But today we're going to talk about decoding MP Judiciary Exam 2022 notification that came out on 21st of December of this year, which is very, very recent. What is our agenda? So our agenda for the day is basically to discuss what are the important dates and eligibility for you to enroll yourself and register yourself for MP Judicial Services, which is for the post of Civil Junior Judge. So there are 123 vacancies, and that is also something we'll discuss today, which is a great number. So what are the important dates for that? What is the eligibility for that? What is the structure and the syllabus for the exam is also something we're going to discuss today. And what can be a recommended strategy along with some books that you can try out to start your preparation. These are our bullet points, and this is what we're going to cover today in today's session. So what are the important dates and vacancies? The notification came out. Okay, so Anisha is telling me my voice is breaking a lot. I can turn off my video and I hope this helps the voice. Anisha, can you let me know in the chat box or unmute yourself and let me know? Okay, so I'll turn off my video so my voice is better. So if there was an issue with this, you trying to understand what our agenda will be for the day. So today we're going to talk about what are the important dates and eligibility. So what are the things that you need to look out for when you're looking at MP judiciary exams, the important dates and how if you're eligible or not. Then we're going to talk about the structure and the syllabus. So what all subjects are covered in the judiciary exams, how the judiciary exams are conducted in MP is something we are going to focus on, and what is the strategy, suggested strategy, of course, is also something we'll talk about. So important dates. The notification came out on 21st December 2021 and it was all in Hindi, but we've tried to translate it and try to simplify the notification for you. One suggestion from me to you is that if you're checking any of these official notifications, always go for the official website. Do not just go for any and everything that Google shows you. Okay, so the official website for Madhya Pradesh notifications that you need to look out for is mphc.gov.in that you can see on your screen. So whatever updates you're looking for, whatever you want to clarify, always check out the official website. Then the registration period is 29th December 2021, which starts tomorrow till 27th January 2022. So tomorrow is when you can start officially applying for sitting for the prelims. So we're going to discuss that. But the registration period is something that you should take into consideration, and the registration process is completely online. Everything is given to you in the notification and also on mphc.gov.in. You just have to create your login ID and then you can register online. Then there are 123 seats, which again is a great number. Out of these 123 seats, which is 123 vacancies, there are 62 seats for general category. So general category is the unreserved category. Then we have 17 seats for OBC, which is other backward classes. For scheduled castes, we have 19 seats. And for scheduled tribes, we have 25 seats. And in all of these seats, in all of these 123 seats, 4% seats are reserved for people with disability. So if by chance you're falling in any of these categories which are reserved, then you should have your certificate that's saying that you belong to that category. So a category certificate is very, very important. Now, before proceeding, can you tell me, Nishant, in the chat box if you can hear me properly? If you can't, I can repeat what I just said. Okay, great. Thank you, Nishant. So, to be eligible to apply for this post and to even sit for your prelims and then mains, you have to be an Indian citizen. You have to be a law graduate. Now, you have to be a law graduate till 27th January 2022. So, the deadline for you to fill out the forms is 27th January 2022. So, till that date, you must be a law graduate, which means that you must have cleared all of the exams in your law school. And if you should have your passing certificate, even if you don't have your degree yet. Anybody who has not cleared the exams, and if you have not appeared for the exams yet, or if you're still appearing, you're not eligible. Then your age should be between 21 years to 35 years. And as on 1st January 2021, there's a 3 years relaxation for those who belong to OBC category or the scheduled tribe or the scheduled caste. So Nishant has asked, is the bar registration necessary? No, Nishant, the bar registration is not necessary. What is necessary is that you should have cleared all of your exams and you should have your passing certificate or a provisional certificate from your college stating that you have cleared all of your exams in your law school. So that is the eligibility criteria. And if you belong to any of the reserved categories, then you can still apply and sit for prelims till 38 years of age. Otherwise, if you are not in the reserved category, then you must be between 21 years to 35 years as on 1st January 2021. Now, this is what you should take into consideration to be considered eligible to even sit for prelims. Now, what are the important documents that you must have with you? You should have your LLB degree, mark sheet, or your provisional degree, which is a passing certificate saying that you have cleared all the exams. You should have your 10th and 12th uh, passing certificate. So the board certificate that we got with all the marks, you should have that. This is also what you will be required to upload when you're registering online. You should have your ID proof. It can be Aadhaar, it can be driving license, it can be um, any other government authenticated ID proof along with your passport size photo and signature, of course. And then you should have your category certificate. So if you belong to any of the reserved categories that we just talked about, then you should have your category certificate. These are the documents that you will be required to upload when you're registering online. Then the fees is also given to you. All of this has been explicitly mentioned in the notification. For general category, the fees is 1047.82. Now there is a provision to pay online. There is also a provision to pay offline. So you have to go through the processes that the online registration system will take you through, and they'll tell you if you can pay online, then it's well and good. If you can't, then a challan will be generated. You can go to your nearest branch and then submit the fees and then upload the required documents. For reserved and PWD category, the fees is INR 647.82. Now remember, this is the fees for you to register, to actually sit for your prelims, to sit for the exam. This is not any other fee for any coaching or anything else. Now, I am pretty sure you must be clear till now because this was very basic that we discussed. Now we come to the main part, the structure of the judiciary exam. So the structure more or less remains the same for every state. However, the marking scheme changes, the qualification marks change, the merit list changes. Of course, merit list you can only predict, it doesn't come out till you've actually appeared for the exam and it has been evaluated. So in prelims, the best thing about MP judiciary is that there is no negative marking. So in almost every other judiciary exam, and especially if you talk about Delhi judiciary, it's very difficult. There is negative marking, and that takes away a lot. In MP judiciary, the best part is that there is no negative marking. There are 150 questions for your prelims. So every exam is divided into three parts. Judiciary exam. The first is prelims, which is a qualifying part. So if you don't clear prelims, you do not go for the next part, which is the part of the mains. So first you have to clear prelims. Then if you qualify for prelims, you go for mains. And if you clear mains, then you have an interview. And after all of these three rounds, will a final list be announced, which will tell you if you have been selected or not. So the qualifying marks that you need for prelims for unreserved category is bare minimum of 90 marks, which is 60%. So 60% you need to secure in your prelims in order to even considered for the merit list. And if you are in a reserved category, then you must have at least 55%, that is 82.5 out of 150 you must score. Now you'll be given 120 minutes and there'll be 150 questions. They will all be MCQ questions. And the syllabus is also categorically given. We'll discuss the syllabus in the following slide. And another good thing about MP Judiciary is that they give you exactly how much weightage does every subject have. So in other states, you usually have to look at the previous year question papers to determine, okay, इस वाले सब्जेक्ट में से इतने मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन इतनी बारी आ चुका है तो आपको ऐसे प्रिपेयर करना पड़ेगा. लेकिन एमपी जुडिशरी में आपको हर सब्जेक्ट के साथ क्लियरली बताया हुआ है कि इस सब्जेक्ट में इतने मार्क्स की वेटेज है, उस सब्जेक्ट में उतने मार्क्स की वेटेज है. देन यू कैन अकॉर्डिंगली प्लान योर स्ट्रेटजी टू स्टडी फॉर प्रीलिम्स. So prelims will be the first round that will take place. Since the notification has come up in December 21st and we don't really know what the COVID situation will be like, but bare minimum 2 months you can assume that you have to prepare for prelims. So 2 months is actually enough if you study properly strategically. That is also something that we will discuss in the following slides. But what are the main takeaways from this particular section that we are discussing right now is that for prelims, there is no negative marking. There are 150 questions, 120 minutes you'll get. They are all MCQ questions. Prelims in MP is also conducted online. So there will be an online exam for you. And you have to secure at least 60% marks if you're in unreserved category to even think of getting into the merit list. And if you are from the reserved category, you must score at least 55% marks. Then if you clear prelims and your name is in the merit list, then you go on for the next round, which is the round for mains. So there are 4 parts. That means there are 4 exams in your mains. And each exam is for 100 marks, and total the mains paper will be for 400 marks. This is also something that we will discuss in the following slides. And then if you clear mains, you go for interview. Interview will carry 50 marks. So before we move on, are there any questions? You can write in the chat box if there are any questions, and if you can hear me properly. I'm sorry, I'm very paranoid about my the ability for you to hear me today, because the net is unstable. If there are no questions, you can just write in the chat box no, and we can proceed. So Abhishek, Nishant, Shreya, if you could just help me out here. Awesome. Thank you. Nishant has no questions. Shreya has no questions till now. Great. And another question that we get very often is that do we have to be from MP if we want to sit for MP judiciary? No, you don't have to be from that particular state to appear for the exams in that state. You can be from any state of the country. The only, like we talked about, you should be the citizen of India, and you should be within the age limit that's prescribed, and you should be a law graduate. So now we're going to talk about the syllabus that you need to cover for your prelims. And when I say that, you have approximately 2 months, that is bare minimum to prepare for prelims. You have plenty of time to prepare properly, strategically, and cover everything. If, of course, you have a study plan in place, if, of course, you are very dedicated and you really want to do it, you can still do it. So these are the subjects that you need to cover for your prelims. Your 70 marks will be about CPC, which is Civil Procedure Code, CRPC, which is the Code of Criminal Procedure. Then you have Indian Evidence Act and Indian Penal Code and Constitution. So these subjects will carry 70 marks. CPC, CRPC, IEA and IPC all carry 15 marks each, and Constitution will carry 10 marks. Now in other states, especially like in Delhi, Constitution is given a lot of importance. So there are a lot of questions based on Constitution. But in MP, you will get more questions based on procedural laws, which is CPC, CRPC, Indian Evidence Act, in Indian Penal Code is a substantive law, and that also becomes very, very important, especially when you're studying CRPC as well. So 70 marks for these subjects, and you have 30 marks for Indian Contract Act, Special Relief Act, Transfer of Property Act, Negotiable Instruments Act, and limitation. So limitation will have 4 marks, negotiable instruments will have 5 marks, transfer of property will have 7 marks, special relief act will have 6 marks, Indian Contract Act will have 8 marks. So all of these subjects combined will be of 30 marks. So you have to accordingly give time to each of these subjects. When we talk about these subjects having these many marks, it means that you can expect these many questions based on these subjects. Now, the questions, if you go through the previous year question papers, especially of MP Judiciary, you'll realize that they don't come straight away from BEAR Act. So if you've ratified BEAR Act, say that section 15 says this, section 20 says this, blah, 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 then you'll be able to clear the exam. No, it's not like that. It's more conceptual. You will need to apply your mind. You will need to understand overall what the BEAR Act is trying to say and apply law actually to the facts that are given and to the question that is right in front of you. So you'll have to apply your mind. For that, you really need to be able to understand these subjects. So to get a conceptual understanding, I would suggest that the first thing you need to do is you need to read the BEAR Acts cover to cover. And we'll discuss more about this when we talk about the strategy. And then you have 10 marks for local laws. So there are only 2 local laws that are covered, and both of them carry 5 marks. So both of them will have 5 questions each, which is MP Land Revenue Code 1959 and MP Accommodation Control Act, which is 1961. So the local laws have to also be given importance. And since there are only 2 local laws that need to be covered, it's not that big a deal. You can do that. And you just have to understand what the BEAR Act says and what is the pattern of the kinds of questions that have been asked in the previous years. And then you have general knowledge, computer, and English. So this will be the general section of your exam, which will carry 20 marks for general knowledge. For computer knowledge, which basically will be standard questions like what are shortkeys, what does this key do, what are computer languages, and things like that. So very basic questions will be asked. That will carry 10 marks. And English, the grammar will be tested. Your vocabulary will be tested, just to see if you have the basic idea. So this particular segment will carry 40 marks. Now, as you can see on your screens, that since 70 marks are devoted to the main law subjects, the core law subjects, then Obviously, when you start studying, you should start with those subjects, especially if you have not covered those subjects properly before. So you start with what has the maximum weightage and what subject has maximum number of questions, and then you start preparing. The local laws can be a little difficult, but if you understand the pattern and the kind of questions that are asked, you'll be able to identify just exactly what can be found in which particular section of the Bear Act, and then you'll be able to answer the questions as well. So this is your syllabus for prelims. Now we are moving on to the syllabus for your mains exam. Now, when you're studying for your prelims, and this is one common mistake that a lot of students make, is that when they're preparing for prelims, they only prepare for prelims. They do not care about what will happen when you go to mains. And that is a very big mistake to commit, because first of all, as you can see on your screens, there are a lot of overlapping subjects. So there are a lot of subjects that are coming for your prelims also, and those subjects are covered in your mains also. So if you study properly for your prelims, and you also pay a little attention to how the answers are to be written while you're preparing for your prelims, then when you go for your mains, you will have a lot of time to polish your skills, to hone your skills, to practice more, and to have a better chance to clear your mains. So how to do that is basically, when you're studying for your prelims, when you're studying CPC, when you're studying Indian Contract Act, Specific Relief Act, Constitution, Transfer of Property Act, then you don't just study to ratify sections, but to also understand what those sections are all about. You read the commentaries, you read the allied judgments and how different judgments have interpreted those different provisions of law, and you start writing, you start practicing to write. Another reason for that is that so last year what had happened was the MP judiciary notification came out in September, and the exam happened in March 2021. In fact, what has happened this year is also that the mains result for the previous exam has not been declared yet, and the vacancies for the next exam and the announcement for the next exam has been declared already. So you can never really be sure how much time what will take, especially when it comes to the current circumstances that we are in. So you have to make best use of the time that you have when you're preparing for your prelims. Also pay attention to your paper 1 and paper 3 of mains. Now we'll discuss the syllabus right now. So the first paper that happens in your mains exam, it's a subjective paper. You have to write the answers. You get 3 hours for every paper. Usually they conduct these exams in 2 days. So one day you'll have two papers, and the next day you'll have two papers. So you'll have to be prepared, very well prepared. And very often the time limit given between the prelims and the mains is for 30-40 days only. So you have to start preparing in advance in order to be well prepared when you're writing the answers. And the best time to start preparing for your mains is when you start preparing for your prelims for these subjects that are overlapping. So the first exam will be of civil law, which will carry 100 marks. Now, in civil law, again, you have Civil Procedure Code, Indian Contract Act, Specific Relief Act, Constitution, Transfer of Property Act, limitation. Another good thing about MP Judiciary is that they have listed out all the subjects and the weightage each subject will have, even for mains, in their notification itself. So you know that the syllabus will not change. The syllabus will be this only. In the previous year papers, what they used to do was they used to give 8 markers or 8 marker questions, and then there would be last question which will have short notes with a lot of 4 markers. But now they have started shifting and playing with the marking scheme a little bit. So there are more 4 markers than there are 8 markers, which means that every question will be either a 4 marker or a 8 marker question. So you have to use your keywords with your things that you need to remember to decide how much you have to write in your answer. If it's 8 marker, of course you'll have to write more. If it's a 4 marker question, the same question will have to be reduced to say a page and a half, and you'll have to ensure that all the keywords are there. So you have to prepare yourself accordingly. And then the second paper will take place. The second paper is called article and summary writing. This is also for 100 marks, and a lot of students, they don't pay a lot of attention to this paper, saying that okay, ये तो हम बाद में कर लेंगे, ये तो देखा जाएगा. But we fail to see that this paper is also as important as the law paper, civil law paper and criminal law paper, judgment writing paper. It also carries 100 marks, and if you don't do well in this paper, then overall you will not be in a good position to really be able to clear your mains. So in article and summary writing, you have to be prepared. You have to write on social issues. You have to write on legal issues. There has to be pressy writing. You will be tested on your translation abilities also. So Hindi to English, English to Hindi. All of your question papers will be both in Hindi language and in English language. So if you're not very well versed with Hindi, it's okay. You can still learn. अगर आपको इंग्लिश में प्रॉब्लम है, it's okay. You can still learn. The idea is that you need to practice. You need to be able to understand how to translate, because translation पहले के पेपर्स में हिंदी टू इंग्लिश, इंग्लिश टू हिंदी, दोनों ट्रांसलेशन 30 मार्क्स का मिलाकर आता था. नाउ each translation is for 20 marks, so total there are 40 marks for translation only. So that is why आपको practice बहुत करनी पड़ेगी ट्रांसलेशन के टाइम पे, हिंदी इंग्लिश में, स्पेशली व्हेन इट कम्स टू लीगल टर्म्स, एंड उसकी अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस में क्या कैसे लिखते हैं वो आपको आना पड़ेगा, एंड उसके लिए बहुत प्रैक्टिस करनी है. देन आपको सोशल इशू पे लिखने को आएगा, लीगल इशू पे लिखने को आएगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, दिस इज जस्ट एन एग्जाम्पल. अगर आपको बोल रहे हैं एक सोशल इशू में आपको क्वेश्चन आ गया दैट should should prohibition or should say sex work be legalized, then that is a social issue. You're talking about the stigma, you're talking about the society, you're talking about how people are going to take it, and what will be the implications if it is legalized or not. If you have a question on legal issues per se, then you have to be sure that you know the law. So for example, you'll be asked, okay, so recently Prohibition of Trafficking Bill 2021 was passed. What were the main pointers of that particular act, that bill? What were the key points? What were the key takeaways? And what is going to be the way forward? So ऐसे आपको लीगल इशू पे भी क्वेश्चन आ सकता है. अगेन दिस इज जस्ट एन एग्जांपल. सो आपको बहुत केयरफुल रहना पड़ेगा. You have to be very well versed with what is happening around you. What are the latest developments in the law? What is generally going on? So GK also is going to be very important. Then pressy writing is about knowing how much to write, when to write, and when not to write, what not to write. So this also takes a lot of practice. Preci basically means precise. So how to write precisely without missing out on important points is something that you'll have to again practice. Then you have paper 3. Paper 3 will be of 100 marks again, which basically is criminal law, but it also has local laws. So here again, you have MP Land Revenue Code and MP Accommodation Control Act, the same two subjects that are also being covered in your prelims. So you will have to understand how to write when it comes to these subjects also. Then there is Indian Evidence Act, there's Indian Penal Code, CRPC, and Negotiable Instruments Act. So you have to be able to understand what kinds of questions can be asked and how to write answers to these. Also, when you're studying for your prelims, it'll be very beneficial. And finally, you have 100 marker for judgment writing. Now, with Oliveboard, we're also going to come up with a judgment writing workshop to give you better clarity on how to go about this. But just for your information for now, the topics that you will be judged on will be framing of issues. So you will be given certain facts of a case. The case can be fictional. It can also be based on a real case. So you'll have to frame issues. It can be a criminal case, so you'll have to frame charges. So there'll be 10 marks for framing of issues and 10 marks for framing of charges. Then you'll be given another fact and another kind of a question where you'll have to write the entire judgment for civil and entire judgment for a criminal case. And this will carry 40 marks each. So this is also something that requires a lot of practice. But once you've prepared for your prelims and you've studied for your first and the third paper, and you've also understood a little bit about what's happening around you, judgment writing will become easier. The more judgments you read, the better you can really address the fourth paper. So for mains, just to recap, every paper will be for 3 hours. For unreserved and OBC category, you have to secure at least 50% marks in all of the papers. So out of 400, you should have at least 200. If you are from SC, ST category, then you should have at least 45% marks out of all the 400 marks to qualify for the next round, which is the round for interview. Now, are there any questions till now before we discuss the strategy? You can write no in the chat box if there are no questions. So should I take that to mean that there are no questions? Can you understand me? Neha, Shreya, Nishant? Okay. So moving on. I believe my net issues really got me disconnected. Okay, so what was the last that you could understand? What was the last thing that uh you could hear? If you could just tell me, I'll share my screen again. Interview part. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Nishant. So I'll just share my screen again with all of you. So what we were discussing was basically if you clear your mains, and to clear your mains, you'll have to secure these many marks. 50% if you are in the unreserved category, 45% if you're in the SC ST category. Then only after that you get qualified for your interview, and for the interview you will be tested on your basic general knowledge, your personality, if you're able to handle the pressure, if you're able to have opinions on different kinds of legal developments that are around you. And the interview will be of 50 marks, and you'll have to get at least 20 marks to be. There are any particular questions, you can just write in the chat box and we'll take them towards the end of the session. So thank you. Now we will talk about the strategy for prelims. Barracks are your everything when it comes to prelims, especially, and also when you're preparing for your mains. You should know the barracks cover to cover all the subjects. You know what subject carries how many marks, so accordingly you divide your time, but start with your barracks. Go for your previous year papers. You try to understand if there is a pattern, if there are some kinds of questions that are being repeated. In MP judiciary, you will have to apply the law. So conceptual understanding has to be very, very clear. So for that, you'll have to also understand what kinds of questions are being asked. So go through the previous year papers, and then you can have crash courses for your practice, or you can have self-study also. Why crash courses get important at this stage is that they save you a lot of time, especially when you have little time. Then you can rest assured that your courses will already have the MCQs, the test series, the practice questions, the strategy ready for you. So all you'll have to do is just follow their lead. So that saves a lot of time in planning and plotting and strategizing. Now, these are some books that I would recommend. If and again, it depends from person to person what book suits them, what doesn't. But these books have personally been very helpful to me, and also to a lot of judiciary aspirants that I've had a chance to interact with. So these are highly recommended. You can take a screenshot of this, or you can just come back later to the YouTube video to check out these books. All of them, mostly all of them, are available on Amazon. So PSA, Lies Criminal Law, Criminal Procedure, Law of Contract, Avtar Singh, Indian Constitution Law, MP Jain, Dr. R.K. Bangia, Law of Torts, Family Law Lectures, Dr. Poonam Pradhan Saxena. Family Law Lectures, this book is of no particular importance when it comes to MP judiciary actually. But you can, if you're preparing for other state exams, then it will be very helpful. So in MP judiciary, family law questions are not asked very often. Then Law of Evidence, this is a very, very good book by Ratanlal Dheerajlal. You can just make sure that you're going through at least the preface or the back of the book to see if it helps you. Then Key to Indian Practice, a summary of CPC by Mullah. It's a very, very good book. This is also something that you can check out. And then, of course, you can reach out to me at Law Chakra by Sanya if you have any further questions. And you can check out the Oliveboard Judiciary course and subscribe to their YouTube channel. So they are uploading all of the sessions on their YouTube channel. So if you want to refer to them again, then you can always go back. Now I'll try to turn on my video. Hi, everybody. So with that, we are done with the presentation. If there are any questions, anything you'd like me to address, you can just write in the chat box. Okay, Nishant has asked, can you suggest any judgment writing book? There are not very popular books in this regard. I can, just check and get back to you on that. But what I would suggest personally when it comes to judgment writing, first of all, make sure that all of your law subjects are clear. Okay, that you have covered everything that you need to cover for your first paper, civil law paper and criminal law paper, and your prelims preparation is done, and then you start with judgment writing practice. But the more judgments you read, the more you'll be able to understand the structure of the judgments, how they begin with brief facts of the case, and then they go on to discussing what are the major issues that are at hand, what is exactly the bone of contention, and then they talk about what each party is saying, what are their major arguments, what are the case laws that they're relying on, what are the precedents. And finally, there is the ratio part, which is where the judge finally announces the judgment and says that, okay, this is what is held and this is what is not held. And then the case is dismissed accordingly. So there are a lot of judgments that are available, especially on, I would suggest you go to the High Court's official website, the Supreme Court's official website, and you'll see the latest judgments and the orders, and you can always download them and you can go through those judgments to understand. The more you read, the better you'll be able to write. So that is my suggestion to you, Nishant. Other than that, if I come across any good book on judgment writing, I will definitely let Onisha know, and she can add that to the YouTube description of this video. So you can check back later. You're welcome, Nishant. So other than that, if there are any further questions, you can always reach out to me at Law Chakra by Sanya, and I sincerely thank you for bearing with me with the unstable internet connection. Thank you so much for sticking around. And I hope that this session was helpful. And if you are starting to prepare, then give it your everything. Even if, God forbid, even if you don't clear the judiciary, there's so much knowledge to gain that will help you for the rest of your life in the legal profession, no matter what you choose to do. Whether you choose to practice, or you go and become an in-house consultant, or you become an educator, whatever you choose to do, your knowledge will always help you. So when you're starting to prepare, just prepare with the agenda of giving it your everything. So tomorrow, whatever happens, at least you can say that I gave it my best shot. And just study. There is nothing that is impossible. All you have to do is study. The exam is very straightforward. The syllabus is out there, and you just have to make sure that you're strategizing everything, you're planning for everything, and you are giving it your best. And after that, whatever happens, doesn't happen, luck has a major role to play in that. But even if it doesn't work out, you will still be left with a gold mine of knowledge, and that is always going to be helpful to you. So thank you so much. Thank you, Nishan. Thank you for being so cooperative. So over to you, Anisha.
Hi, Sanya. Yeah, thank you so much. So we can call it a day. And thanks for giving us insights about judiciary. Nishant will be uploading this video on YouTube as well. And if you wish to share it with your friends, please do. Thank you, Sanya, once again, and have a great trip ahead.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you. Bye.